successfully brought the classic Blue Bomber back into the spotlight and into the minds of old-school gamers, and due to decent sales and positive reviews, having developer Inti Creates return to make the next entry was a no-brainer, and they decided that they were going to address some of the complaints with 9 while they were at it. Mega Man 9 was ridiculed for some issues, like how close it was to Mega Man 2 in terms of, well, everything. But also, the hard difficulty and lack of innovation to the series were some strong points against it. So the next entry would introduce lower difficulty settings to ease new players into the series, and for the second time since Mega Man and Base, they would introduce multiple playable characters. Inti Creates even wanted to go further by adding in a co-op multiplayer mode, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be and it was scrapped before release. Mega Man 10 would launch on the digital storefronts for the 7th generation of gaming consoles in March of 2010. Just like its predecessor, this game was digital only for a good while, until the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 release, with this game and all of its DLC being included as well. This not only brought the game to modern systems, but also brought it to PC via Steam for the first time, which is how I'm playing the game today. Unlike most other classic Mega Man games, I actually have prior experience in beating this one before, and I remember enjoying it for the most part, but you know what I find odd? People tend to not really talk about Mega Man 10 a whole lot, outside of just lumping it in with Mega Man 9, as they were both 8-bit throwback games, which I find odd. Every Mega Man game has something that sets it apart from the rest, and I know this game does as well, right? Surely this game has something that sets it apart from 9, I know it has to. Well, if we want to figure that out, we gotta dive face first into Mega Man 10 to find out. So let's not waste any more time and see what, if anything, sets Mega Man 10 apart from the rest. Some time has passed since our previous adventure, and now the world is dealing with a new threat. A virus known as Roboenza has begun infecting robots across the globe, which causes them to go haywire with flu-like symptoms. Things get worse when Roll comes down with the virus, and with no cure in sight, things are looking pretty dire. Then suddenly, Wily crash lands next to Light's lab, with him explaining that he was working on a cure when he was attacked by one of the infected robots. Mega Man agrees to aid Wily in finding a cure and sets out to recover parts of the medicine-making machine that Wily was developing. As Mega Man sets out, he's stopped by his older brother Proto Man, who offers his aid to Mega Man for this adventure. So together, the two of them head off to find a cure, save the world, and roll. Before we start the game properly, we have some decisions to make, as we can not only play as Mega Man, but we can choose Proto Man as our character of choice for the game. Mega Man functions like how he did back in 9, so no charge shot or slide. However, Proto Man not only functions like how he did in 9's DLC, but he also got a buff to his Proto Shield, which made it a little bit larger, allowing him to block projectiles more easily. He also starts off with his Proto Coil and Proto Jet. That's not all, as thanks to this game getting DLC, you can also play as Base. His moveset is the same as it was back in Mega Man and Base, except he no longer has a double jump, I imagine due to arthritis. But to make up for it, he starts off with the treble boost right out of the box. In the Legacy Collection, Base, along with the rest of the DLC, were made to be unlockables, with you needing to either beat the game once or input this code on the game's title screen to play with all of it right out of the gate. We'll save the rest of the DLC for later in the video, so rest assured we will talk about it. We also get to choose our difficulty setting for the adventure, which affects a lot of things. Normal mode is your standard Mega Man affair that you might have come to expect at this point. Easy mode is intended for beginners, with platforms placed over pits and spikes, not to mention less enemies and bosses having more simple attack patterns, and the CeeCee, which refills all of your health and weapon energy, is placed in every level. Finally is hard mode, which isn't DLC this time, but does require beating the game once to unlock it. More enemies are placed in levels with faster and more aggressive attack patterns, and items will be placed differently as well. Alright, so as per usual, we have 8 new Robot Masters to take down, and of course, we can go in any order that we want, so why don't we start off simple with this Sheep Man, whose stage is cyberspace. I would have thought that the Sheep characters level would have been inspired by something like, I don't know, the British countryside? Why computers? Anyway, this stage itself I feel is probably the best to start off with. You have these mouse pointer enemies that'll draw out square tiles to attack you. You also have these colored groups of blocks that'll vanish shortly after stepping on them, and if you play your cards right with some of them, you can get some extra goodies to aid you. Alright, so let's get the graphics out of the way now. Yes, we are still in the 8-bit art style, which is kind of a letdown, but similarly to Mega Man 9, they do at least use more colors and detailed sprites than the NES could actually handle, so at the very least we are getting nice looking 8-bit graphics. Of course, sprite flickering is gone, but you can enable it, you fucking weirdo. You know, this does kind of make me yearn for a new Mega Man game with the sprite quality of 7 or 8. In fact, I think that could have helped differentiate 9 and 10 from each other. Sheep Man is one of the easiest bosses in the game, probably the entire series come to think of it, with a ridiculously predictable attack pattern. He can jump into the air and split into 4 clouds that'll then send down lightning that shocks the surrounding floor, with the last cloud always containing Sheep Man. That's not all, as he can also send out this ball of electricity. Fortunately, he isn't much trouble to take down with any character and their default buster. Hell, Base can just assault him thanks to his multi-directional aiming. For sending Sheepman to meet with a certain purple dragon, we get the Thunderwool, which... okay, it's not the best, but I mean, it does have its applications. The weapon will spawn a cloud, which will rise high up in the air, or until it collides with the ceiling. Then, it'll send down lightning for a couple seconds, which will damage anything that it comes into contact with. The thing does do decent damage to make up for how its range is, and you can spawn 2 clouds at the same time. Before we jump into the next boss, let's tackle these shops really quickly. Bolts are once again back, and fortunately they feel more plentiful than they were in Mega Man 9. Of course, everything that you would expect in the shops are here, but what's neat is that they're actually different for Proto Man and Base. Proto Man still has access to stuff like the Beat Assist, but not Eddie or anything like him. Base, meanwhile, has his own variants of the Beat and Eddie assists in the form of Treble assists. Also, fun fact, but Base's shopkeep here, Reggae, actually first appeared in Wily and Light's Rockboard, which is basically a Monopoly-like board game. Next up is Pump Man, which sees us diving into sewers with dirty brown water. It's funny, because this isn't even the first time Mega Man has had to wade through shit water, but this level's got some annoying enemies. Take these Mets, who shoot out these purple globs of something that makes you all slippery, which makes platforming more difficult. And then you have these pipe robots. They shoot out water balls, and their trajectory changes to aim at you specifically, which at some points in the level annoys the hell out of me. Something cool that this stage does is that it has a split pathway partway through the stage. You could go on the path directly in front of you, which is basically just a continuation of the first part of the stage, or you could go down into the water, which is lined with spikes, making it a lot more dangerous, but there are some pretty nice rewards waiting for you down there. Pump Man will try to pump Mega Man full of— Hey, listen, I know you're, about to make a sex joke about a kid's game, but I want to let you know that our water got turned off. Okay. Can you please pay the water bill? I don't have any money to do it with. Yeah, give me like 20 minutes and I'll get to it, don't worry. Anyway, Pump Man is pretty easy once you get his pattern down. He spawns his water shield, which he can then disband by spreading it away from him. Fortunately, the Thunderbolt evaporates his shield and deals massive damage to him, taking him down in just a few shots. For sending electricity up Pump Man's entrance, we get the Water Shield, which sadly isn't as good as Jewel Satellite was back in Mega Man 9. You get 8 water bubbles that'll surround Mega Man, but they pop after like 1 hit. You can disband the shield in the same manner that Pump Man did, but it really only works best when you're close to an enemy because the spread can just go around an enemy and miss them completely. Man, fuck Water Shield, all my homies hate—
You did that joke already.
Oh. Now we got Solar Man, whose stage is pretty hard. A good chunk of it is a tower climb with conveyors. You of course also got insta-kill lava in the level that you gotta avoid. That all then leads up to the level's mini-boss, which is just 2 Moltres from Pokemon, and one of which is molding. They just shoot out fire and dash from one side of the room to the other. It's nothing super difficult, and I mean hell, Base just obliterates them with ease. The second half of the level loves to use these fire shooters from the first half of the stage that are giving me some serious Sonic 2 Chemical Plant vibes, but I swear whoever designed this level just spammed the place tool with these things, cause they're fucking everywhere! Near conveyors that drop you into insta-kill lava, guarding the ladders in the tower climb section, and oh, while I'm at it—
What a thrill.
Solar Man will do everything in his power not to die at our hand. I say that because this motherfucker turns into soggy toilet paper with his weakness. He'll jump around and shoot out this little artificial sun that splits into 2 fire waves that dart across the arena. He can also lean forward as an attack. Look, the water shield kills him really fast thanks to it effectively having 8 hitboxes, so he shouldn't pose a threat at all. For just absolutely bullying Solar Man to death, we take his Solar Blaze. We launch a little orb that, after either a few seconds or when coming into contact with an enemy, splits into 2 fire waves that move across the screen left and right. It can even go through enemy shields, so it can be pretty decent for crowd control. Chill Man is our next target, and I can't be the only one who looks at him and realizes that he just straight up looks like Mr. Freeze, yeah? We got an ice level on our hands, so be prepared to slip and slide all over the place. The main gimmick of this level is these ice blocks. They crack upon being stepped on, but if you step on them a second time, then they completely shatter, and a lot of these are placed by spikes, so you need to be cautious when dealing with them. Since there isn't really much else that I want to discuss with this level, why don't we go ahead and talk about that scrapped multiplayer feature, because believe it or not, some stuff for it actually still remains in the game. It would have been a co-op multiplayer mode, where one player controls Mega Man and the other uses Proto Man, and together, you could have gone through all of the various stages in the game. There would have even been some unique moves that you could pull off together, like the ability to sync up, to power up your attacks, or even the ability to pick up and throw each other. An early build of Mega Man 10 leaked online a few years back, and actually has the multiplayer mode fully intact, so if you ever want to try it out for yourself, then all you need is that prototype build and the Xenia emulator for Xbox 360 games. Chill Man will freeze us in place. Literally, his main method of attack is turning you into a popsicle. He'll ski and jump around the boss arena and fire off a chilling liquid shot that will turn you into an ice statue if it comes into contact with you. Or it can form ice spikes in the floor and walls if it misses. His weakness is the Solar Blades, though I feel he has a tendency to just jump over the attack. Like seriously, this boss fight will either go perfectly fine for you, or...
Aurora Borealis! Yes. Man, yes.
For giving Chill Man a heat pad, we obtain his Chill Spike. You can use this weapon to literally freeze enemies in place, and not just the small fry, I'm talking the big guys, the strong motherfuckers. If it doesn't hit an enemy, it'll form ice spikes on the floor, which you could use as a trap on enemies. With half of the Robot Masters down, we check in with Roll, who isn't getting any better. However, with the parts of the machine that we've managed to recover, Wily is able to make a prototype cure and gives a pill to Roll. Before Mega Man and Proto Man head back out though, Wily stops Mega Man and asks him if he's feeling like he could be coming down with the case of Robo-Enza, to which the Blue Bomber exclaims that he feels as good as ever. Up next is Nitro Man, whose stage will see us cross highways multiple times. That's not a joke, by the way. About half of this stage is running into the middle of traffic. You need to avoid the oncoming traffic by jumping on top of the trucks as they come by. Otherwise, Mega Man will be turned into roadkill, so make sure that his AirPods aren't... What's nice is that you can actually get onto the top part of the stage, where all you need to deal with is the occasional Sniper Joe, and doing so will actually get you some extra goodies like an E-Tank. You can even get a W-Tank really easily in this little section with these timed explosive platforms. Honestly, this stage was pretty nice, even if half of it was.
But I would want 500 chunks.
Nitro Man will perform an Akira slide into the boss arena. He'll dish out these sharp cutter blades that will run along the floor and up the walls. He can also transform into his bike form and dash around the arena pretty fast. He's weak to the Chill Spike, but you primarily want to get him with these spikes as, while yes, freezing him does do damage, getting him to run over these spikes will take massive chunks of his health. For slashing Nitro Man's tires, we get the Wheel Cutter, which is a really neat weapon. It works like it did for Nitro Man in that it'll run along the floors and up walls, but something that they don't tell you is that you can actually use it to ascend walls yourself. It's cool, but it's rarely used since all 3 characters start with something that allows them to reach platforms that they normally couldn't. It's nice for taking care of grounded enemies from a distance at least. On to boss number 6, Commando Man. We got a desert level complete with quicksand with antlion robots hiding within. The big gimmick of this stage is these segments where a desert storm will swoop in for a few seconds and will actually push Mega Man and some of the enemies in the direction of the storm. The jet items as well as the treble boost are great for getting through these sections, so use them whenever you can. This level does have a bit of an alternate pathway to take, although it's not too different, and I feel it's more safe than the normal path if you ask me. But oddly, you get better rewards for taking it, like some big screws and an E-Tank. I don't get it, but I mean, hey, I'll take it. Commando Man is an absolute unit of a boss, and is pretty difficult to be fair. His main method of attack is his missiles, which he can change the direction of, but as if that wasn't enough, the blast from them causes a shockwave that can also damage you. Topped all of that off with the fact that he can jump high into the air and slam into the ground, which can stun you, leaving you open to attack. He's weak to the wheel cutter, and if you ask me, your best bet for taking care of him is to get up close and personal and just spam fuck him with those cutters. For dishonorably discharging Commando Man, we take his Commando Bomb. It's a missile that you can shoot out which, when it detonates, will cause a shockwave that doesn't do as much damage as just hitting something with the missile head on. The cool thing about this weapon is the ability to change the course of the missile up to 2 times. It can even be used to destroy these specific walls, which often allow you to get some extra goodies such as E-Tanks and extra lives. Now we must make our way to Blade Man. Alright, so first of all, these axe robots are pretty fun to deal with, but something you'll notice this level loves is the spike pits. The main thing you'll remember from this level is the seesaws, as they litter a good portion of the stage, and you need to use them to cross some of the pits, unless you use one of the jets. Then, this all culminates in what is definitely the mini-boss of all time. It's a castle, and you have to destroy 3 sets of eyes while avoiding cannon shots in these platforms that remind me of that one Wily Castle boss from Mega Man 5. You know something I thought about after finishing this game? I don't think this game's level design is as solid as it could have been. That's not to say that it's bad, but I feel like they're wanting to make this game more appealing to beginners, caused them to kind of lower the quality of the levels. I think Mega Man 9 had more interesting levels because, yeah, sure, it's more difficult, but it felt more unique and fun in spite of that game removing stuff like the slide. Alright, now let's get into Blade Man himself. His attack pattern is simple to understand, yet tricky to dodge. He'll cling onto the walls and ceilings and throw 3 small blades in an attempt to hit you. If you notice that he's just kinda hanging there for a little too long, jump, because he's about to surprise a lunge attack at you. The Commando Bomb takes massive chunks of his health, but you have just enough ammo to deplete his health, so if you miss 1 hit, then you gotta switch to something else for the last few hits. For shattering Blade Man like a butter knife, we get his Triple Blade. This allows Mega Man to throw 3 small blades, and you can kind of aim them. I say that because as far as I can tell, the only way to aim their trajectory is by jumping, as that will angle them down as opposed to up. It's a decent weapon otherwise, you know, it has good coverage and all that. The time has come for our final robot master, Strike Man. His stage is naturally a baseball stadium, and honestly, it's the most unique feeling level in the entire game if you ask me. You've got these pitcher robots, some of which throw balls that have a goddamn homing attack. You also have this stage's mini-boss, where you have to fight it twice, and it can be a tricky dick to take down. Its fists aren't the weak point, and neither is the soccer ball that it throws out. The head is the weak point, and my advice is to use the Commando Bomb, as that allows you to take it down with relative ease. The latter part of the stage is a lot. You got these ball bin robots that launch out a sport ball, the locker turrets, the rematch with the mini-boss, the fucking pixels on the health bar, Jake looking, and I can't unsee it now, the fucking mini-boss! For as much as the second part of that level drove me up a wall, Strike Man himself was really easy. He'll attempt to throw his rubber ball, but the Triple Blade just pops the thing like it's nothing. Then he'll bounce around a little bit and repeat his pattern. The Triple Blade just... yeah, that. He shouldn't pose much of a threat unless you choose not to use his weakness. For putting Strike Man on the bench, we get his Rebound Striker. This is a really neat weapon as it allows you to aim it before you throw the ball, and it just bounces all around the room. Use it in closed off spaces and watch as everything gets fucked by Mega Man's balls. With all 8 Robot Masters down, Mega Man returns home only to suddenly come down with a case of Robo-Enza, with Otto discovering at the same time that the medicine-making machine is gone. Then, a broadcast from Dr. Wily appears on screens all over the world, with Wily revealing that he created the Robo-Enza virus, and that if any robots want the cure, then they'll have to come work for him. It looks like this might be it, until Roll comes in and gives Mega Man the prototype cure that Wily gave her earlier. With the cure, Mega Man gets back up on his feet and heads out to stop Wily once again. Before we head to the Wily Castle, let's take a moment and discuss the DLC that this game received. These all were released throughout 2010 and were all included in the Legacy Collection as I mentioned earlier. Let's start off with the Endless Attack mode, as it was carried over from Mega Man 9 and is largely the same. You go through randomized versions of the Wily Castle, with various boss fights along the way, with the goal of trying to make it as far as you possibly can, and you do have all 8 special weapons to aid you on your journey. Up next is the special stages, as we got 3 brand new stages added to this game. What's cool is that they're all references to the Game Boy Mega Man games. It's very awesome to actually see them acknowledge those games. You even get some unique level set pieces and gimmicks, which makes all of these stages feel more unique than the stages from the vanilla game. That's not all though, because at the end of every stage, we have a boss fight against one of the Mega Man killers from those games, Enker, Punk, and Ballad. It's really cool to see these 3 return. You know, Mega Man really knows how to do DLC right. Good on them. Alright, finally, let's move onwards into Wily's newest, biggest, and largest... No, those are the same words. Wily's newest, biggest, and grandest... No, that's still the same... Ah, fuck it. Wily Castle X. Wily Castle 1 places us outside of the castle in the rain as we break in and are immediately confronted by the defense system. This is the Weapons Archive, which contains the weapon data of several Robot Masters from the whole series. This sees us fight Electman, Woodman, and Gemini Man, and it's up to you to figure out which weapons are strong against them. Typically, it's gonna be the weapon that's closest to their original weakness. Woodman, for example, is weak to the Wheel Cutter given how closely it resembles the Metal Blade. After that, we enter the castle properly and have to deal with the various traps within. You even have some different pathways that you can take, although they'll always lead to the stage's mini-boss, which is the second round against the Weapons Archive. This time we have to deal with Ring Man, Napalm Man, and Flame Man. After that is Moored Level, which deals with spikes, as we reach the level's boss. Now we must take on the Weapons Archive one final time. This time, it'll make us face Slash Man, Frost Man, and Tornado Man. Slash Man is nowhere near as aggressive as he was back in Mega Man 7 if you ask me. Tornado Man can also be dealt with in a matter of seconds thanks to the Thunder Wool, but Frost Man, I don't know why, but he gave me the most amount of trouble, as jumping over his ice wall can feel pretty tight. It also probably doesn't help that he can't get stun blocked super easily now. Wily Castle 2 immediately starts us off on conveyors moving us towards a spike wall. The start of this level really loves to have you platform on these conveyors near spikes and pits, but not long after is a rematch against the twin Moltres. Afterwards is this section with crushers, which isn't too hard as long as you pay attention to the rhythm that the crushers move in. After a rematch with the Lightbulb mini-boss from Sheepman's level is what I consider to be the most difficult part of the stage. Lots of spikes in awkward places, especially this ladder, although you can kinda cheese it with Rush Jet, thankfully. This eventually leads to maneuvering under crushers while trying not to get impaled, but once you've gotten past that, you should be. Now we must take on the
giant enemy crab.
It's not a terribly hard boss fight, although it does remind me a bit of the King Jet from Mega Man and Bass, but I like this boss a lot better because Floor. It'll attack with its claws and occasionally shoot out You can destroy the claws, which it uses to protect its actual weak point, its eyes. It's weak to both the Thunderwool and Commando Bomb, but if you ask me, you're more than able to get away with just using your default buster on this guy. Wily Castle 3 has a pretty unique elevator segment where you need to maneuver this platform from side to side, all the while avoiding the spikes in the tower, and while having the shock guard can help, just be aware that you can get crushed here. But afterwards, you know, the shock guard isn't just useful for that elevator bit, it's useful for the, entire fucking level. You see this seesaw segment has spikes everywhere, topped it off with your underwater, so you need to be careful with your jump so that you don't slam into the ceiling spikes, but you also need to be careful not to undershoot the jump, miss the seesaw, and land on the spikes. That's then followed by the second elevator segment, which is way more difficult than the first one, and is easier to get crushed in. Thankfully afterwards it's pretty safe, but holy hell, getting here is a pain. The boss of Wily Castle 3 is the fucking Black Devil, which isn't too troubling to take on. My only issue with this boss is that it involves a lot of waiting. The movement patterns of the blocks are very predictable, but once all the blocks are in place, the core of the devil emerges and starts its attack. It'll fire some lasers, and retreat, and then the pattern resets. This boss actually kind of sucks, come to think of it. At least the previous devil fights required you to move for more than 50% of the fight. Wily Castle 4 has a bit of a tower climb before shoving us into our robot rematch room, so let's take this time to talk about this game's special weapon selection. It's fine. Look, I think after Mega Man 9 spoiled me rotten with some of the best special weapons in the entire series, I think I can understand that whatever was gonna come next wasn't gonna be as good, and sure enough, that's true. The Triple Blade is nice, Chill Spike is useful, Rebound Striker, Wheel Cutter, and the Commando Bomb, they all have some kind of excellent use case, but the Water Shield isn't particularly great, and the Thunder Wool isn't ideal most of the time. I'll give Mega Man 10's special weapon selection 7 sick rolls out of 10. Wily comes at us in his brand new Wily Machine 10, sporting a pirate theme. I mean, hey, I'm all for it, although this thing doesn't really do much in all honesty. I think it's one of the easiest Wily machines yet. Phase 1 sees it shoot out these large missiles, which you can use to platform on, and it'll also shoot out smaller homing missiles on top of that. Fortunately, the Solar Blaze is the thing's weakness, which also just destroys those smaller homing missiles. Once the cockpit is exposed, we begin Phase 2, where Wily ascends high and shimmies back and forth. Like, seriously, we're just doing a dance with him. He'll shoot out this easily avoidable Electro Ball, and every so often he'll drop down and spawn this electric wall. He can also trap you in place with this cage, but you can just destroy it from the inside. This phase is weak to the Water Shield, but just like the Crab Boss from earlier, you can absolutely get away with using your default weapon here. After the machine is destroyed, Wily flees with us giving chase and... Oh my. Does this mean that Wily invented a space elevator for, you know, whatever. Wily Castle 5 is very simple. It's just some easy platforming with a lot of these drill robots that you can use to refill any weapon energy that you need, although they also give you one of each energy tank along the way. That even includes the M-Tank, which restores all of your energy. Soon after, we fall down into the boss arena and confront Wily one final time. Wily reveals himself in his brand new Wily capsule. This is the easiest Wily capsule in the entire series. It's kind of a shame that the last boss is one of the easiest in the whole game. You have two capsules, one containing Wily and the other containing a dummy, but it's so obvious which is which that it makes me wonder why they even bothered. The energy balls that they shoot out don't even deal that much damage, and their patterns are very predictable. Just shoot Wily with a Chill Spike, and he goes flying into space. With that, we've saved the day yet again, but then Wily comes down with a fever as the Mad Doctor himself caught the flu. The gang take him to a hospital to recover, but Wily of course escapes, but he does leave behind a treasure trove of pills to cure Robo Enza, which brings us to the end of Mega Man 10, which is actually the 11th Mega Man game, but not Mega Man 11. That's a different game. It's interesting to think that this game often gets lumped in with its predecessor, and I can kinda see why it often does, as Mega Man still has the same moveset from 9, and the game is still using the 8-bit art style. It probably doesn't help that the one thing that would have further set this game apart, the multiplayer, was cut before release. It's a shame, but I do think Mega Man 10 still manages to have its own identity regardless of that. Having 3 characters to choose from, and the various difficulty settings, assures that new players and Mega Man veterans can have fun. I do think that 9 is the better game, as 10's levels don't feel as solid, but that's not to say that 10 is a bad game. It's still fun to play and has some great moments. I just think I'm more likely to replay 9 instead of this one. After Mega Man 10, things were looking pretty good for the future of the franchise, with multiple games in development. Stuff like this intriguing reimagining of Mega Man X to the long-awaited Mega Man Legends 3. However, there's a key word in all of that. Were. Because after Mega Man 10, Keiji and Ifune would leave Capcom, and soon the future of the Blue Bomber would go south. This resulted in Ifune announcing his spiritual successor to Mega Man. So join me next time as we take a slight detour to Mighty Number 9. Subscribe to the channel if that sounds fun to you, and leave a like and a comment should you choose. And with all of that said, have a great day or night. Peace.